Hey everyone, we need to talk about the latest thing that probably has leftists crying themselves to sleep right now and having full blown meltdowns because they probably don't understand it. They probably don't understand that this happens all the time. They probably have not listened to the arguments from Obergefell v. Hodges, which is the case that led to nationwide gay marriage legalization. They probably don't understand any of it and they're just emotional wrecks over everything because they constantly live in fear. So I want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Obergefell v. Hodges case to get everyone up to speed, the arguments that were had in that case. I'm going to talk about Kim Davis and the little fiasco that was had. I'm going to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls and what they say about gay marriage and homosexuality in general. And I'm going to talk about why I'm talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls instead of the Bible. And I'm going to tell you why I don't think that this case is going to go anywhere and that the Supreme Court may not even hear the case at all. So let's get into it.
Kim Davis, the former Kentucky clerk who violated the rights of a couple when she refused to issue them a marriage license following the legalization of gay marriage in 2015, is now petitioning the Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell v. Hodge altogether. In a filing last month, Davis asked SCOTUS to review the 2015 ruling, calling it a legal fiction. Matt Staver, the chairman of Liberty Counsel, a nonprofit that is representing Davis, said, Kim Davis's case underscores why the U.S. Supreme Court should overturn the wrongly decided Obergefell v. Hodges opinion because it threatens the religious liberty of Americans who believe that marriage is a sacred union between one man and one woman. But that's not what religious liberty is. The First Amendment does indeed protect the rights of Americans to exercise their religious beliefs without interference from the government. That is a sacred right that is fundamental to dignity and freedom. But religious liberty does not require that you personally agree with every law that your government passes. Religious liberty certainly doesn't mean that any one religion or church will get to decide what rights other people in this country are granted. That would be the opposite of liberty. That would be state-mandated religion. And while some people may be of the opinion that their own personal religious beliefs should be enshrined into law, most Americans would probably take issue if someone else's religion were enforced by the government, which is exactly why the First Amendment explicitly prohibits the government from establishing a religion. Staver went on to say that the First Amendment precludes making the choice between your faith and your livelihood. But that just isn't true. The First Amendment protects the expression of your faith. It does not guarantee you a job. And no faith system requires you to be employed as a county clerk. Davis could have resigned or allowed her deputy to issue marriage licenses in her stead, which would have allowed her to continue adhering to her beliefs while also not violating the rights of someone else. She did not. In Obergefell, the Supreme Court ruled that the ability to marry is a constitutionally protected right that applies to same-sex couples. This does not prevent anyone from holding their own opinions about marriage. It simply prohibits the government from preventing couples from marrying based on their sex. In her filing, Davis may think that she's fighting on behalf of liberty, but what she's actually fighting for is more government interference and less freedom for everyone.
Okay, so Kim Davis was an elected county clerk and she refused to issue gay marriage licenses after the Supreme Court ruled that you had to. So she was arrested and put in jail for a few days. Now she has like this vendetta and she's backed by a Baptist group with a bunch of funding to take this to the Supreme Court and try to get it overturned, which I believe is going to be very difficult, if not completely impossible, because as you just saw in that video, they're claiming to be fighting for religious freedom. However, they're actually fighting against religious freedom. And they're also stating that their religious beliefs should dictate whether or not a group of people have the same rights as another group of people. This was the main argument in Obergefell versus Hodges, is that, and none of the Supreme Court justices that were in favor of sending this back to the states were in favor of making gay marriage illegal federally. They were just they were in support of sending it back to the states as the Constitution dictates. what is the Constitution does not dictate is what the definition of marriage is. So these people are trying to go outside of the Constitution by using the Bible definition of what marriage is and trying to put that into law. But the problem is that you cannot impede on someone else's rights because of your religious beliefs. You're literally stating that a group of people are second-class citizens and do not deserve the same exact rights that you have. That is against civil rights. That's like saying a black person shouldn't be allowed to walk on this side of the street because I believe that they're not good people or something stupid like that. So that would open the door to people coming to court and basically challenging other people's rights, and sending it back down to the states would then be saying, well, now we can vote on taking away a group of people's rights. So that would open the floodgates to trying to take away everyone's rights that you don't agree with. You know, that's just not something that should or probably could even happen at this point. So that's why I think that the Supreme Court may actually just throw this case completely out, because it goes against the arguments. I listened to part one of the arguments yesterday. It's like an hour and a half long. I'll put a link in the comment. I'll put a link down below if you want to listen to it. It's kind of funny because the person's channel, they make these dogs look like judges. So that's what you're not really seeing the judges, because it's just a recording of their voices. So you see these dogs and funny little arms and stuff like that. So if you want to watch that, I think it's quite interesting to listen to. There's a dude in there toward the end of this part one video that is making the most ridiculous arguments, like that, just like Kim Davis is saying, that allowing gay people to marry destroys the sanctity of marriage or completely dissimulates the meaning of marriage and like what it is at its core, and that it encourages people to not have their own children or not have children at all. And it's like, so you're arguing that also one of the main arguments was not have their own biological children. And it's like, okay, there's straight people that adopt children that are not their biological children. So are you also arguing that straight people nobody should be able to adopt anyone either? Like, the arguments in dissent of this case completely crumble to the ground. All that they have to do is come back and argue, you are trying to take away the right of this group of people and still allow the same right for this group of people. That completely goes against civil rights and equal rights overall. So that's where the argument is going to land, period. Like, these people can keep on arguing their religious beliefs all day long, but religion is not the law. That's not how the law is made, and it shouldn't be. Like, you're literally arguing to discriminate against people and take away their rights. So there's that. The reason why I bring up the Dead Sea Scrolls is because in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'm a Christian. I got baptized in April. I actually left the religion in 2016 because I believed that Donald Trump was the Antichrist or adjacent, and I couldn't understand why so many Christians backed him, because everyone said that he was the R word. Everyone said that he had done all these crimes and all of this, and I never looked into any of this until a few years ago, and then I realized that all of this was a bunch of trumped up bullshit. And then I decided over the past year that I felt like there was a bunch of evil in this world, and that there's no way that all of these people are just so evil and blind unless something supernatural is happening. So I started looking back into it and praying and all that, and I started looking into the Dead Sea Scrolls, because I've always held the belief, which is the fact, that humans took the Dead Sea Scrolls. And if you don't believe in religion, that's fine too. Like, I really, my feelings are not affected if you don't believe in gay marriage. My feelings are not affected if you're not religious. Like, it's okay. We're all welcome here. It's fine. I have friends that don't believe in gay marriage. It's fine. So, but I have always held the belief that the Dead Sea Scrolls have been taken and they have been changed throughout time, which they have, and that the Jews, I know that they did. Uh, the Torah is based off of the scrolls, and then mythology from generation to generation, stories from generation to generation to generation that eventually led to the Torah, which led to the Bible, and then the Bible was also changed. So throughout history, there have been things that have been added, reinterpreted, misinterpreted, completely fabricated. There have been stories that have been left out completely. So was more interested in looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls. And in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it does not mention same-sex anything. It does not mention it at all. I want to look at this real quick just to show you what I'm talking about. And you have to be very specific. I don't know if you guys use AI. I don't use AI to tell me what my opinions are like some people believe, but I use it to give me data as quickly and effectively as possible so that I can form my opinions based off of the information that I found. But you have to be very specific because AI pulls from multiple different sources, including the Bible, including the Torah, including news articles that might be biased, Christian publications, things like that. So I had to be very specifically, what specifically do the Dead Sea Scrolls say about, I haven't read the whole book. I just read Leviticus and I read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Neither mentions same-sex anything at all. Nothing like that at all. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is like 2 lines, y'all. It's like 2 freaking lines. Most of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah has been completely fabricated. And Leviticus mentions a bunch of different relationships that are, it mentions very specifically niece, uncle, brother, sister. It mentions adultery, it specifies the person, a male, a female, blah, blah, blah. It never once specifies a male and a male or a female and a female. Nowhere in there. And everything else remains. Shellfish, bacon, all that kind of stuff remains in there. It's very, very specific. You should read it sometime if you haven't, because it's very interesting how much they changed all of it. And I'm not trying to change your religious beliefs. I'm just sharing some information to let you know where my thought process is regarding this, because some might scratch their heads like, he's a Christian and he's gay and he's okay with gay marriage. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, Officer Tatum talks about it all the time, which pisses me off because he's my favorite YouTuber. But that's how much I don't really care, because, you know, it's fine. Everyone's going to have their own beliefs. I'm not here to change your mind, but I can at least give you some information. So it says, you're right to highlight the importance of looking directly into what the Dead Sea Scrolls themselves and reputable scholarship on them actually say regarding homosexuality. Let's be crystal clear. The Dead Sea Scrolls do not contain explicit references to homosexuality as understood in modern terms, i.e., sexual orientation or same-sex erotic relationships. What it actually says is absence of explicit content on homosexuality. No text among the Dead Sea Scrolls explicitly address or condemn homosexuality, same-sex relations, or sexual orientation. They don't enact laws or moral stances targeting same-sex sexual activity as such. Focus on sectarian sexual norms. And this is where most people are going to form their argument. Well, it's immoral, it's dirty, it's not natural, it doesn't result in procreation. Well, you can have that argument all you want, but there's also the fact that the majority of us that say we're homosexual were born this way. It wasn't a choice. And the people, especially men, that say, why would you choose to? I'm going to act like Officer Tatum for a second, because he does say this all the time, especially during Pride Month. Why would you choose to do a lifestyle like that? Like, that makes me think that you have made a choice. Because if you think that sexual attraction is a choice, you must have some type of experience with making that choice. So my hypothesis is that men that say that it's a choice are actually attracted to both sexes and they chose to only mess with women. So if you say that, I'm going to automatically assume you made a choice and you're attracted to men. So there you go. But here we go. Focus on sectarian. And no, I don't think that it's normal. Is it no, because the majority of population are straight. Obviously, biology is meant to result in procreation. That's a fact. You can't argue that away. Like, obviously, there's obviously something in the wiring in the brain and the hormones and everything that causes this to happen. It's like an anomaly. It's something different. It's not something that we can control. Some people choose to fight it and make themselves very uncomfortable for the rest of their lives. And most of us aren't willing to do that because that is not fair. That is not humanitarian. That's not fair. That's completely fucked up, in my opinion. Everyone else can be happy except for the people that are just happen to be born wired differently. That's just like fucked up and selfish. Focus on sectarian sexual norms. The literature primarily focuses on sectarian sexual ethics, concerns about purity, marriage arrangements, and celibacy, especially within the religious community. For example, some writings urge celibacy for community members while and that's all of them, while others, Damascus document and rule of the congregation permits marriage, but often within highly regulated, perfection-oriented frameworks. So if we want to get down to it, most of the people that are married today are not symbols of perfection-oriented frameworks. So most people that are married today shouldn't even be married in the first place if we want to go back in time to the real documentation. These discussions emphasize sexual self-control and group boundaries without mentioning any same-sex issues directly. Broader ancient context, ancient Jewish thought. So this is not a part of the scrolls. Ancient Jewish thought condemns male-to-male sexual acts. So this is where it began and punishable by death. But this is not from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Academic debate around biblical verses concerns the translation and intended meaning of phrases condemning same-sex acts. Some argue they refer to incest, adultery, and pederasty, which it does mention all of those things, rather than consensual adult homosexuality. Yeah, so it does not mention it. Do they specify if marriage is strictly between a man and a woman? Yes, in the text from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that talk about marriage, it always describes as between a man and a woman, but it's framed as part of community order. So it's not framed as a matter of moral statement against other types of unions. It is a matter of community order. So the order of the people. Obviously, we want procreation. We need people to make more people, but you can't just say, well, you're not attracted to that sex, so make yourself extremely uncomfortable and procreate anyway. Be in a relationship that you do not want to be in at all. Have sex with people you do not want to have sex with at all. Basically, SAing yourself. That's what it feels like. I've tried it before. It doesn't work, and it feels horrible. So, like, y'all out there that think that you're right about this and think that, well, because this book says this, that means that these people are evil and bad people. Like, you need to think on a more macro level. You're micro thinking. You're not listening. You're not listening when people say that would make me extremely uncomfortable, and you just go, it goes in one ear and out the other. Like, get over yourselves and your own opinions when people are actually telling you that, and they're not denying their biology, okay? Because there's a difference between being homosexual and denying and thinking that you were born in the wrong body. This is not the same thing. That's why there's a huge movement to separate the LGBT from the T, because it's a completely different thing. Completely different. I don't have anything against trans people, but it is a mental disorder. Okay? So yeah, we're not denying biology. We're just telling you this is not, we don't feel the way that you're thinking. So it says rules of congregation. In describing the ideal eschatological community, it says men of a certain age shall take a wife in accordance with the law and beget children. Again, the text assumes male-female marriage for procreation, but does not explicitly state only this form is valid. So there's nothing in the Dead Sea Scrolls that particularly specifically condemns gay marriage. So form your opinions based on this. Form it on what the Bible says. Just understand that this is an argument that can be made. Now, it might have seemed like I was beating up on Christians for a moment, but wait, there's more. Because now I need to talk about the gay community. So, this, if, and that is a big if, because like I said, I highly doubt that anyone could go into court and win this case. Okay? Because it goes against civil rights. But if a case were to be won, then I would at least partially blame the LGBTQIA2S+++++ Rainbow Mafia for what they've been doing for the past 10 fucking years. Absolute debauchery. Guess what the biggest argument against gay marriage was? Guess what the biggest argument against giving gay people equal rights was? It was that they have a gay agenda to groom your children and make them gay, as if that's possible. So ever since the 80s and probably before, we've all been saying there is no gay agenda. And then you have JB Pritzker's fat ass on camera talking about you should support the gay agenda. No, it's not a gay agenda. It's a Democrat agenda. And gay people just happen to have been one of the biggest groups, aside from black people, that have been used by the Democrats in their fear-mongering attempts because they have no morals or values. So they have to use fear in order to gain votes. So they have made all these white liberal women fear for us. And they have made all of us fear for losing our rights every second of every single day. And then, we finally gain the right to marry. And what's happening? These people are going out, getting married, and then having open relationships with like 5 different partners. That is actually breaking the sanctity of marriage. Now, you can also argue there are straight people that do the same thing, so don't get it twisted. But gay people seem to do it a lot more. It tends to be like bisexual people and things of that nature, more likely. And then they have kids, and they have their kids among these disgusting, weird relationships. It's so weird. And then we have pride parades where you have people dressed up. This is a real thing, and I can't find it, but it is real, and I saw it. There was a person, and this is just one instance, one of many, many instances, a person dressed in their little leather dog mask and a leather sex harness in a thong or a jockstrap, I can't remember which, but it was one of the two, with no other clothing on a leash, and another human being was holding it, and the person was on all fours like a dog, and they were trying to get children to pet them like a dog. There was a child right in front of them that was petting them like a dog, and the child's parent was there allowing that to happen. So they have taken this, they have taken the free, I say they because I am not a part of that community. Not a part. They don't want me, I don't want them. No thanks. I don't go to pride parades. I don't go to pride events. I don't go to that shit. I don't wear the stupid little bracelets. None of it. It's embarrassing to me. Absolutely embarrassing. So you have these people doing that. You have people performing sex acts in public. You have, there's a park in Washington State, I believe it is. It might be Seattle, where gay people, it's a known gay active beach, and it's like a nude beach, and it's next to a child's playground. And the gay people are trying to fight for their right to keep this nude gay beach going, even though they do sex acts in public there.
Developing at 6, the clock is ticking for the city of Seattle to decide what to do about public nudity at Denny Blaine Park. A judge told the city to come up with a plan to get control of the park within the next 2 weeks. Homeowners sued the city earlier this year, saying public sex acts and aggressive sexual behavior make that park unsafe.
Like, that's what their values are. These people, these activists, their values are twisted. They're sick. They're actually proving that what the hardcore Christians were saying, and some of them still do say, is true. That there's some type of a gay agenda geared towards being naked in front of kids and doing weird stuff in public. Like, you're making us look bad.
I don't think this is necessary. I don't think this is family friendly. I don't think any of this is appropriate. And then, see, but what just happened, you probably can see in the blur a little bit. There's a black man bent over. They both in thongs. Black man bent over, and this white man, that's a little sketch. White man's literally whipping him. The next drag queen to come on stage is going to be a 12-year-old boy in drag.
Are you confused yet? Minty fresh.
Can I ask you a question? Do you find this to be age appropriate for your children?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little more, I'm not as conservative, but I mean, really, it's not any different than, I mean, Disney, they have similar things. Like, it's really not that far from it.
I had sex with my father's boss in my father's office.
Honestly, like, I'm body positive.
Minty fresh.
Do you find this to be age appropriate for children?
Do I find this to be age appropriate?
Yeah.
For my child, yeah.
Hello, you're reaching for my titties. Are you hungry?
Do you mind me asking how old she is?
She's 12.
12.
She knows about sex, and I mean, she doesn't see sex.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she kind of sees simulated sex in the show.
She goes to school. She sees simulated sex all the time.
Disturbing footage surfaced of a drag queen performing in front of infants. Yes, infants. The vision is so shocking that we have to heavily blur it. But these are grown adults in bondage gear or in G-strings strutting around in front of tiny kids, infants, toddlers. The heavily sexual...
You make us look like what they think we are. And then they go around and somebody created an anti-pride meme, and it says Pride Month, and then it has demon in the middle. You've probably seen it, and they're taking it and wearing it. Like, they're calling themselves demons. And then I've argued with them online, like, why are you doing this? You're making us all look like evil people. You're proving them right. And they get so pissed off because their inner demons are really like, ugh, getting to them. That's why I think, like, this is supernatural. These are demons. There are demons in these people. And I think that Satan uses gay people because society has made us weak. And it's easier to prey on weak people. It's easier for demons to prey on weak people. So my hypothesis is we're not born evil, and God made us this way for some reason, but Satan takes advantage of us because the church pushes us away. So if you're pushing gay people away from church, congratulations, you're actually pushing people away from Jesus. You should be bringing them in, not pushing them away. Or trying to pray the gay away, because it's not possible. That's literally saying that you don't believe that God had a plan. That God didn't have a plan. There's no reason why he made this person this way, or you're completely denying of what we are saying to you, which is also possible. But gay acceptance was going up over the past 10 years. And then over about the past 5, it's actually started to go down. Now, still about 51% of Republicans polled say that they support gay marriage. So if the Supreme Court, by any stretch of the imagination, were to deem gay marriage illegal, I think you would have a bunch of angry voters on your hands, because the left all agrees with gay marriage pretty much. And if 51% of Republicans agree with gay marriage, then you're going to have a lot of angry citizens if you do something like that. But it's still dropping because these people keep on pushing this. Transitioning kids, like save the trans kids. There is no empirical evidence that the unaliving rate is actually higher among these people. There is no study that has been done regarding actual successful attempts. None. I'll go over that in another video because I had a full conversation back and forth with ChatGPT about this. And the conclusion was that you could actually do a study like that, but none has ever been performed because it's so difficult to do. But it can be done. It has not been done. Okay. So they're using evidence that is faulty to give kids puberty blockers, stop the natural growth of their body. And if you follow up puberty blockers with hormones, you're going to be sterilized. The girls who go through this have to have hysterectomies by age 20 because their uterus starts to atrophy. And the boys never develop full testicles. So there's no, like, they can't procreate at all if they wanted to. So you're ruining these people's lives based on false evidence. And it's just pure evil. So these people have created this debaucherous situation where they are actually targeting people's kids. Pride shit all throughout schools, all over the grocery stores, everywhere, targeted at children in the name of acceptance. That is bad. That's a bad thing, gay people. That's a bad thing to do. Bad. Stop it. Maybe one day people will realize this and realize that they are creating their own demise. So if people go back to hating gay people all over the place, it's going to be gay people's fault. You can't just ask for acceptance and then shit all over it and try to groom people's children. That's fucking retarded. So that's my 2 cents. I don't think that this court case is going to go anywhere. I don't think there's any evidence to support their claims that letting gay people get married and have children defaces the value of marriage. That's one of their main arguments. There's no evidence that that happens. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary. And there's evidence that shows that straight people have already done that, a pretty good job of that. So, you know, maybe it's time for some people to just look in the mirror. So tell me in the comments, what do you guys think about this? Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you on the next one.